Welcome to the first ever PSG podcast. Yes, that's right. Not only do we want to bring you 60-second shorts bringing you the news, not only do we want to bring you all your favorite gaming lore, but we want to talk about the world of gaming every Friday/Saturday, depending on what's going on, how fast the editing gets done, you know.
Yeah.
YouTube problems.
Yeah, exactly. Today's podcast is going to be talking about who we are, what PSG is, what the ultimate plan of this channel is. We'll talk about our own personal weekly game updates, and then go through a list of the news that has happened. And then we're going to apparently make fun of Shank and close out the show.
Sounds about par for the course, yeah.
So let's kick off the first episode by introducing who we are, and then I'll talk about what the goal of PSG is. So I'll kick it off to give you guys a template to work with, okay?
Okay.
I'm scared.
A template.
Yeah. Templates.
No.
Anyway, I'm Benny. I also go by many other names on the internet, but the most popular one would be The Comic Historian. I run a channel where we talk about comic books and pop culture. I also work on a few other YouTube channels in general, but the point is, I'm Benny. I play a lot of video games. I primarily play a lot of live service games and PlayStation 5, and that's why we wanted to make this channel.
Sweet.
Next.
Who's next? Me? I'll go next.
Yeah.
We're all looking at you.
Okay.
I mean,
can't tell.
basically,
We're
the
little
order of the
webcams.
cameras, it seems like you would be next.
Oh, okay. I don't know if it's different for everyone else. I see that.
either.
Anyway, hey, I'm Dylan. I go by Orem on some places on the internet. I run a small dead YouTube channel called Orem's Corner. But also, I'm the editor of this whole deal and also play video games a lot. I don't play as many live service games or like app games as these fellas, but I like a lot of very specific things. So, and I have thoughts. I'm very opinionated. So
You are. It's kind of a problem at times. Your opinion on pineapple pizza is just wrong.
Wait, I know that's off topic, but what's his opinion on it?
it's good.
It's
Oh,
wrong.
no, it's right.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, you have the right answer.
You
Yeah,
got the
we're
right
good.
opinion. It looks like Shank has the wrong opinion. All right.
All right.
Next by order of the cameras is...
Houston or Shank? Are we going like
Houston.
down or
We
over?
go like this.
All
way,
right, it's me.
diagonally.
Professionals.
I've only done YouTube for 8 years. It's fine.
Excuse me, it's my turn to talk, Benny.
Oh.
Thank you.
Here's the talking stick.
I'm Houston. I play a lot of app games, and when I say a lot of app games, Benny tells me on a daily basis it's a problem. Mostly, I actually am a personal chef, but I play a lot of app games, tend to stick towards Nintendo, so you'll probably see a lot of app game updates and Nintendo updates for me.
Very cool.
And
Now, by
I
process of elimination, there's only one
gotta
guy
go
left.
back to Dylan, right?
Grogu.
Grogu. What games does Grogu play?
Hey guys, I'm Ben. I go by Shank or Shank14 for the most part. Play a lot of MMOs, live service games. Been trying to keep you guys up to date on the news. Benny says I have a problem with Destiny. I think it's a feature, not a problem, but hey, it's just me.
What does your wife think about the feature?
She tells me to stop it. She wants to play games with me. I told her to play Destiny. So marriage is about compromise, guys.
And it takes two.
Whoa. A transition, perhaps?
I wish it was. All right, cool. Well, that is who we are. So I wanted to take a moment to explain what is PSG, because many followers from Comic Story and Gaming, the Comic Story channel, Absolutely Marvel at DC, random tweets from half of us. We've gotten a nice assortment of people who know who we are and also don't know who we are. So basically, for a long time now, I have run a separate gaming channel, but it's gone through a lot of iterations, from creating lore to doing news to having podcasts to having lists to now just be me goofing around with many of my friends, of which is Shank and Houston and Dylan, and you can find them in various videos. And that channel also somehow turned into a Dungeons and Dragons weekly game. I don't know what even happened there, but I'm the guy that controls it. But basically, the channel turned into a completely different entity. And one of the things I always enjoyed doing was covering the lore to my favorite video games because regardless of the game's live service or challenges or whatever's going on, I have always enjoyed the lore to video games. A solid lore will hook me into a game even if I hate the game. Look at you, Destiny. I love to hate Destiny. I'm in that weird middle ground. But what I'm getting at is I've always enjoyed doing lore and recapping lore and talking about lore with my friends. I've also enjoyed being very opinionated when it comes to gaming news. So we thought about taking these two loves, these two passions, and making this channel PlayStation and Steam Gamers. And yes, the name sucks. That's why we call it PSG. But it's really good for algorithms.
Yeah. And please don't go into the comments and try to find other acronyms for PSG. I know it's very easy to make some maybe obscene ones, but it stands for PlayStation and Steam Gamers, nothing else.
I didn't even think of that, but now I want to know what your craziest acronyms for PSG are.
Jesus.
The 50
over a
people that may
minute?
or may not want. Huh?
Are we over a minute before
Are we
give
past
mine
the
out?
YouTube curse rule? Let's just leave that to the comments. They can figure
But
it
yeah,
out.
this year, the company that I work for and Dylan works for and Houston works for, we decided that it'd be a lot of fun to launch a couple of channels and just have fun with them and just do channels for the love of doing YouTube again. And we thought about making PSG. We thought it'd be great to do lore to our favorite games, do a weekly top 10 list, discuss the latest news and game-breaking stuff, and we wanted to bring our friend Ben into the project. Hi, Ben.
Hey. Hi, guys. You're not
So
bad.
that is what PSG is, and the mission statement of this channel is to fill you in on what, Ben? What's your slogan?
The latest gaming news, reviews, and discussions.
You beautiful.
He did it, ladies and
Which is
gentlemen.
thank you.
four
He said the
guys
thing. He
who
said
love
the thing.
video games. So
Also, I want to make a note. There are occasionally some other hosts that will pop by, but we are like the main four ones who will be.
we are the
bringing you-
four main. Yes,
those-
we
those
do have a
topics.
few friends that play a lot of games with us, and we want to bring them in. And if they know a game better than we do, you'll see them. And when they show up, eventually, maybe we'll rotate them into a podcast so they can get a proper introduction.
Yeah. You don't want
Yeah.
to disparage anyone that's working on this channel because it's a
No. There's a
group
few
project.
others that if the channel keeps growing, they'll become full timers as well. But we are the first four. That was the plan. So, all right.
quartet.
I just talked a lot, so we'll go to
Four best friends.
this portion of our podcast is going forward. We got a slogan now. It takes four. We'll be doing some live streams where we all play Fortnite. It's going to be fun. But anyway, let's talk about the games we're playing this week. And let's start from the bottom to the top because I've been talking the most up to this point. Ben, shocker, what have you done this week in gaming?
Okay. Primarily, I've been playing a lot of It Takes Two. We
You got
put
ahead of me.
I did get ahead of you, but that actually isn't up to me. My wife has been hounding me every day as soon as she gets off work
Nice.
to go play that game, and I will never give up an opportunity to go play video games with my wife. So, obviously, a lot of It Takes Two. I logged into Fortnite to buy Diamond Hands because I am a sucker for stock market memes.
I can't wait for our next match. You're running around his diamond hands. And
Is
I'm
that
Lara
actually
Croft.
a skin? Is it's a skin?
Yeah, it's an actual
Okay.
skin in there, yeah.
That's awesome.
I saw that. I was like, oh my God, buying right now. And then, of course, I went back and I played more Destiny. I plan on playing Outriders today if I can log in.
That was the issue I ran into yesterday. We were all going to do it. We were going to do the launch day stream, and the servers had been down for an hour. So we're just sitting there like,
Yeah.
well, I got errands to run, so we'll try this later.
Right. we have other things to do, so we'll try again tomorrow and the day after, and
Yeah.
eventually
The day
it might
after
work.
that.
And a little bit of Avengers, just trying to get caught up on PlayStation.
Yeah, you're way behind me in Houston now.
Well, yeah,
Probably not that behind, in all honesty.
I'll catch
See,
up.
there you go. Shank can be the PlayStation Avengers guy. I don't
Don't
even
you back
No,
out on us.
But Dylan,
Don't
do you
back
not?
out on us.
How many people are in this podcast right now?
listen.
How many people could be in an Avengers team, Dylan?
3.
Just level 1 character.
You don't
all
understand
you have to do.
how tall of an order that is.
Okay,
is so
Dylan,
grindy.
Dylan, I am changing the terms of our deal. I said I would half pay off your 3080 when you finally get one. Okay?
Yeah.
The term is now you have to catch up on Avengers to do that.
Hold on. Okay, Palpatine. You can't just come in here.
The terms have changed.
That was
Oh,
Vader,
boy.
by the way.
Oh, fair. Yes, that is true. My bad.
Should put it to a vote so I can say I love democracy.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, we could talk about that at a different point, but I will resist that as much as I can. I don't want to do that.
I feel like with you and me, it's you're Doctor Strange and I'm Dormammu, and you're like, I have come to strike a bargain.
No.
What is this?
All right, Houston, what have you been doing this week? I mean, I know,
All
but tell them.
What have I? You already know everything, Ben, but the other Ben doesn't. It's gonna get confusing for me. I'm sorry. All right, so I've been playing a lot of app games, mostly War of the Visions. They have the Final Fantasy X collab, so I've been trying to level up Yuna, Tidus, and Auron all at the same time. It's been awful for my wallet, but it's fine. As well as I just started Genshin Impact on the PS5. Gonna start going through that. I started Avengers as well. Dibs on Hawkeye, by the way.
Dibs on Hulk.
That's fine.
Dibs on Kate. Better Hawkeye.
Dibs on the personal computer version of the game.
Still dibs on Hulk on PC. Go ahead, Huey. Sorry.
All right. Anyway, what else have I been playing? Oh, obviously Monster Hunter Rise. Working through the village quests there. Expect a video from me shortly on my thoughts of the game. Spoilers, they're fantastic. That's pretty much it.
Cool.
I can't think of any other games I've been playing at the time.
How is just like a quick like general, how is this Monster Hunter compared to previous ones?
It is the best portable Monster Hunter to date.
Oh, wow.
And
Glowing
to
review.
me, it gives World
does
a
it-
run for its money.
I was just about to ask, how does it compare to World?
I feel like it's just not going to do as well as World, though, because
It's
it's on
not
the
because
Switch.
it's on Switch only.
Yeah.
No, it won't do as well, but I mean, you have to compare it to other Switch games, not to Monster Hunter World. Obviously,
To
it's
other
not gonna
Switch
do as
games, the load times are fantastic. Once you're in the map, you're in the map. So I've had a ton of fun with it so far.
Nice.
All right, Mr. Dillon, what's happened in Overwatch this week?
You know me so well. Overwatch, actually, there's interesting things of note because Overwatch kind of yearly does like a really quiet April Fool's like event. It's not like one of their big things where they have like new game modes and stuff, but usually the thing they do is they just put googly eyes on all the characters for like a few days, which is a lot of fun. But this year they did a bunch of like experimental joke changes to the experimental card, which is just like a place where the devs like try like radical changes to characters to see if people like them and how they play in the game. Usually they get pushed, like not a lot changes from the experimental to live once the next patch comes in, but this time probably none of them are going to get pushed because they're insane things like Sigma being no longer bound by gravity, so he just flies forever.
I saw you on the short. I like the idea of Reaper doing the Death Blossom while spinning like a helicopter.
It's crazy still. Like the one of my favorite ones is Zenyatta can also kind of fly. When he jumps, he can just keep hovering for 3 seconds, so you can get into some like really interesting positions. Mei is a tank now, so they like reclassified her to the tank role, gave her 400 health instead of 250, and they made her physically 15% bigger. So it's just it's really fun. A lot of the changes. Some of
I
them
hope that
are
one
like,
carries over. I will return to Overwatch if Mei is a tank now.
well, like, that's what I was gonna say. Is
And
a lot of them
50% bigger.
are things that they're probably doing in Overwatch 2, or things that are like overreactions to community feedback. Like Mei being considered as a tank has been a thing for a while in the community, which I would.
But
be
she
down
doesn't have the
for.
right life pool or anything like that. She's
Yeah,
just,
like they would have to obviously rework her, and this is just a really like dirty, like quick way to be like, we know that you want her to be a tank, so here's like a funny version of that.
I mean, I'm a Diva fan, so Like, of
Yeah.
course I'd want to see maybe a tank.
Yeah, I mean, she would be a great addition to the tank role. She's probably one of my favorite DPS roles, but I mostly play tank and healer, so if you put one of my favorite DPS character as a tank, obviously I'm going to play that character a lot. But
Right.
yeah, it's been fun. I play Overwatch like every day with people, and it's not a dead game. How dare you?
I stand by my stand. I'm so tired of
So-
people saying dead game on any game.
Yeah.
Because there's too many people in the world that are like, I've stopped playing it. That game died. Like,
Right.
you and I play Avengers pretty frequently. I mean, it's still like every other week at this point, but
It's like every other month.
Yeah, we're getting to that point, but we're still
It's not
playing
dead.
it. It's not dead.
It's on
Yeah.
life support.
Avengers is for sure
do not
on life
feed
support.
them. Do not feed them.
No, that's fair.
No, please comment about how dead Avengers is, please.
True. Just give us comments. No, yeah. I mean, if you want to say Avengers on life support, that's fair. Because, it's...
That's
I enjoy
acceptable.
the game. I don't play it because there aren't other people on playing.
Well, we just
sometimes.
don't have an incentive to play it. Honestly, it was what it boils
Yeah.
down to. Like,
But I still
Destiny
enjoy-
gives us a weekly thing to do, and Outriders has things to do, and I log on to Sea of Thieves because there's things to do. And Fortnite has weekly challenges, so we have things to do. And then Avengers is like the community challenge.
Right.
Okay.
Here-
And it's just
Here's something you
uninteresting.
can do for 10 minutes every 2 months.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the problem with Avengers right now.
Something interesting that they did do this week, I think they started it this week, or maybe last week, was I think it's one of the priority missions they introduced. Oh, it was flashbacks. They introduced this new feature called flashback missions, where every day there's a mission from the story that you can go back and play. And if you're power level 100 plus, then it gives you one set of legendary gear from a specific, from a hero specific gear for the character that you're playing. And
That's kind of cool.
it rotates out like every day. So like say you get a headpiece on Monday, when you come back Tuesday to play the flashback mission, you'll get the chest piece of
Okay.
the same set. So that like helps out for people who are trying to make a specific build with specific gear, which is good. I don't know why they're investing time in changing that now when an entire gear rework is supposed to come at some point.
Give people
Something to
things
do.
Yeah. In the meantime,
I mean,
guess.
it'll probably give me and Houston and Shank a way to level up while we're catching
Yeah.
up. You know.
Yeah, it'll definitely help for just to get like a set of hero specific gear, because that's something that is tough, especially with the exotics.
My issue though is why.
Yeah,
It's the
solid
same issue I
question.
have with Division 2. Why? If there's
Yeah,
nothing at the end to use that fun gear on, why are you doing it in the first place?
Well, that's the problem. They have different problems, though. Avengers is the issue of they haven't come out with the endgame raid, so I have no reason to level
Right.
beyond just goofing around with my friends.
Yeah.
Division came out with a raid, and no one does it because no one likes what they did, and they just don't do more. Now they just have that tower climb, which we do enjoy, but I feel like that's a little too late for Division's sake. Like, by the time that rolled out,
Yeah.
it took me 3 months to get someone to try it with me.
Which
Like,
it was fun. It was fun. If you like
Yeah.
tower climbing, that it's a good game mode. But I feel like Avengers needs that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my why for a while was like my why for playing Avengers and getting everyone leveled up to at least 130 was just because I needed something to do while listening to podcasts. And
I mean, that makes sense.
like that's but
Yeah.
I tried doing that once every, because all of my characters except for Hawkeye are at 130 now or further. I think Cap is at 150 and Kate is at like 146. But there's just no like incentive anymore. Like once you do it like 6 times, boy, do you not want to ever do it again?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That statement is funny. Once you do it 6 times, why would you do it again?
You're not
Yeah,
wrong
like
at
I know,
all, though.
but like I was giving so much credit to this game, and like I will play it and I will have fun and I will treat it as a game that I can just do like in the background while I'm listening or
Right.
watching something else. And like games like that should exist and can exist, but when you're just playing a grindy game that has fun combat to no end, eventually you're gonna get burned out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
And
that
that's
was
why
the issue we've had multiple times with Destiny in general. Destiny comes out with a season, and like a great example was Gambit. Like, it was fun. You don't want
And
to
now
do it
it's
for
not.
4 months. Yeah, that's what I mean.
You can only do it so many times before
That's the
you
thing.
never want
I
to see
think
it
that's
again.
the biggest issue with Avengers. If they came out with Hawkeye and then 2 months later Kate Bishop or vice versa, whatever, and then 2 months later Black Panther, then you know, hey, we're gonna log on for a week or two, enjoy Avengers, and then new content will come out in like 6 weeks, so we can go play other games. I think the issue is how long it's taking for new content to come out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, all right, well, let's go to mine because we promised an update as to what I'm actually doing yesterday on AMD, and I thought you were going to cut it out of that discussion, Dylan, but you left it in, and there's actually a comment, I want to know what you're doing in Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, let's do it because it was a nice tease for PSG. We need more people over here.
So, anyone who works with me or knows me personally knows that I can't just sit and relax and have no goal. There has to be an end goal of like, I'm getting to a raid or we're doing it for work or whatever, which makes games like I love Rainbow Six Siege and makes it very difficult for me to log on because why am I continually playing? It's why I fell out of love with Overwatch because why am I continually playing? Like I get on with a reason, but whatever. So to fix this problem of I always turn everything into some form of work, I've created my own little hobbies with my own goals. For D&D, I've created my whole entire universe practically at this point. And Houston's trying to kill it. But that's
I'm not
another
trying to
story.
kill it. I'm just trying to derail it.
It's Galactus.
But when it came to video games, I need a reason, and I hate to word it like that, but I needed a reason to say, all right, it's time done work for the day. I gotta go work on blah blah blah. You know, and especially right now, we don't have freaking new games coming out for me to go play and beat. Like,
That's the main
fair.
reason I play so many app games.
yeah, like there's no story game for me to just sit down and blow through. Though I am trying to work my way on Ghost of Tsushima right now, but that's still an old game, you know. So
But
I
it's
gave
good. Finish
it
it.
is.
Very
I'm
good.
working on it. I really
I
dislike
platinumed
it.
it before you
beat
got
it.
out of chapter 1.
I was platinuming other games. But speaking of platinuming, I have given myself the goal of platinuming every Assassin's Creed that is available on PS4, because only one of them's on PS5, before the end of the year.
Nice.
And it has been, I've hated it, I've loved it, I've had a great time with it, and I also play the Assassin's Creed's game chronologically, back to back. I see so many weird just plot holes that they never answer.
Assassin's Creed isn't
What?
written well? What a surprise.
You're kidding me. A game that was made 10 years ago doesn't line up with the game that was just released.
This makes no sense.
So I started it off because I can't get Assassin's Creed 1 on PlayStation. You just can't do it without doing like some weird PlayStation Now thing or whatever. And the theories are that they're remaking that one anyway. So I was like, I'll start with 2. The Ezio Collection is pseudo remastered. So I started with Assassin's Creed, the original 2, and that one was a blast. The story laid it out well. Graphically, I don't know what happened, but everyone's eyeballs. Do you remember Avengers when Cap's helmet would melt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone in
Terrifying.
Assassin's Creed 2 does that now.
Oh,
like,
no.
you'll have this, like, really serious thing, like, Ezio shows up and he's like, you've killed my family! I'm going to murder you! And then it cuts to the villain and he's like, I'll get you, Ezio!
Yikes.
Eyeballs are, like, popping out of heads. I'm like, what is
That
going
was
on?
normal back then. You didn't know that? That is time period accurate.
They hadn't cured that yet.
The free running takes probably about an hour to get back into because it's not like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Odyssey Origins where you could just climb anything. Everything has a direct path in the old days. You know what I mean? Like you had
Right.
to find every hold and climb up it, and it doesn't
I
listen half the
tried
time.
to help him with some of it, and I'm just like, I can't play this game.
Like you angle it weirdly, and he'll just leap off a tower. Like, oh,
Yeah,
the
it's
hay was
super-
to the right a little.
I remember playing those games a long time ago. I don't like Assassin's Creed for context. I haven't played any of the new ones. They interest me more than the rest of them had. But like one of my main problems with it is that they're all like super stiff and like the especially in the combat, but in the mobility too. It's like, yeah, you would like go one direction and he'd be like, nah, dog, and he'd jump off the complete other way.
You want to go right? I'm going left.
I will say I've
played-
gotten the hang of it again. I never thought I'd have to say that, but I had to get the hang of 10-year-old video games. Like,
That makes sense.
Like, because especially, so I beat Assassin's Creed 2. I had a great time with it. The platinum journey got a little annoying in the back half because, like, you finish the game and then they're like, all right, it's a Ubisoft title. Do everything.
I want to hear about some of the like nightmare trophies that you had to get.
On the first one, there wasn't really any nightmare trophies. I don't think I had any real problematic ones. I'd say the biggest one that I had an issue with, there's one where you have to get 10 kills without taking damage. Now, you would think that that sounds easy. The problem is the game, at least in 2, doesn't have a solid counter system. It exists, but it's wonky, and enemies get free hits. So you have to
Does
avoid...
it have a dodge system?
No, not in the original.
It doesn't have a dodge?
It does, but it's a dodge that has to be timed at the exact moment they do something.
So it's a parry system.
But there is a parry system, but that has to be
Right,
timed
but-
at the exact timing they do something. And then
those
you'll have
kinda-
different enemy types. So you have to know to dodge this guy, and at the same time, you're trying to parry this guy, and you have to know which one you can parry and can't parry, and which one has to be dodged and not dodged. And on top of that, they'll get free hits. Because of the way the camera works, they'll be off camera. So you don't know they're coming.
Oh boy.
So in order
So-
to do it, I had to run out to a wide open area and constantly spin the camera in circles, and I kept getting to 9, and somebody would get a hit in. And then I found out just throw a smoke bomb down, and no one could fight back, and you just kill them all.
Nice.
So I guess that would be
system
the nightmare trophy of the first one.
The
So about
nightmare
the sec-
trophy was throw a smoke bomb.
Well, that's what it turned into.
Could have
'cause I
been
looked it
way
up, I'm like,
easier.
I'm
You
like,
didn't
there's
look it up
no
sooner?
way that this is how people are like. There's got to be someone doing this, but I'm getting so frustrated. And so I Google it, and they're like, yeah, just throw. You have 3 smoke bombs. You can get 10 kills in that time. Oh, okay.
When is the point where you decide like this is too hard, I'm gonna look up like a guide?
Normally, if the trophy's taking me more than an hour, is normally my line. Because normally about an hour, I'm getting frustrated. Like, I like trying to do it myself, or I'll look up the guide if like I have no idea how I'm supposed to do this one, kind of a thing. If I don't
You're
have any idea how to do it,
Way more patience than I do.
well, if I like, okay, Shake, if it's just like kill 10 guys and don't die, my assumption is there's no real cheese to this. I just have to kill 10 guys and that's like a hit. Problem solved.
I'm
There's
just
always
saying,
a
like,
cheese.
if it takes me more than 15, 20 minutes and I can't figure something out, I'm like, okay, thank you, Google.
But I think the problem with that one was that it wasn't figuring it out. It was, I keep messing this up. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta do it again.
Get good, scrub.
Yeah, exactly. So I did that one, and then I moved over to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. So I technically got Platinum in Valhalla. That's what kicked off this idea back in January. Technically, I had ran into a glitch. Houston does that whole thing. But I ran into a glitch. They gave it to me in January. So February was technically Assassin's Creed 2. So Brotherhood... no, it was February was Valhalla, so Assassin's Creed 2 was there. So I figured I'll kick off Brotherhood early so I can get that one knocked out as well. So now I'm doing Brotherhood. Now, I did research on this, and it's interesting to see the path that a lot of these games took that I wasn't aware of back in the day. So Assassin's Creed was supposed to be 1, 2, and 3, and that was the extent of the franchise. And I find that fascinating because apparently Ubisoft said, oh my God, you can make this yearly, and that is Assassin's Creed 2 to Brotherhood to Revelations to 3 to Black Flag to all the spin-offs. That's when that all began. It got so bad that apparently the original writer was escorted out of the building and they had to rewrite everything, and like that's why the story gets off the rails and plot holy. But the core plot is there.
Why did he get escorted out of the building? What did he do?
I guess he would, from what I gathered, and it's all hearsay, from what I read, apparently Brotherhood and Revelations were tacked on because Ubisoft wanted a yearly release and they were working on 3. So they had to extend the story, which is why Brotherhood and Revelations plot development is weird. It doesn't line up with a lot of things that are happening and doesn't even get answered later in the story because they weren't intended initially. So they were just thrown into the middle of a story, like somebody going on a side quest in the middle of a D&D campaign, and then I have to readjust everything.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And then 3 comes out, and I guess that at 3 got kind of mixed reviews because of the way they did everything, but it was really good. But it's interesting to see that apparently this is the path it took. And knowing that, I went into Brotherhood. Now, I beat the plot to Brotherhood like 6 hours in, and that's the problem with Brotherhood. there's so much extra stuff. And it's all bare bones boring. Now, I remember enjoying the heck out of this game when it came out, but now it's like I beat the story. And then, like, okay, now you got to go do 10 courtesan missions, 10 thieves missions, 10 assassinations, 10 this. And on top of that, this is the era where they started with the additional objective on everything. So you have to do it a certain way.
So Brotherhood was actually my first introduction to Assassin's Creed. So that's like the basis I have for the game. So hearing you say that like it's like just a tacked on added game, I feel like I should go back and play some of them, because I played that one and I played which one was the American Revolution one?
3. That's 3. That's the other one that was intended.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, I played that one up to a certain point, but I don't think I ever finished it. I feel like maybe I should go back.
It's interesting because it's very obvious now that I'm in my 30s and, you know, and I just played 2. Because 2's plot is Ezio's family gets murdered. He gets secretly trained to be an assassin, becomes a master assassin, goes to get revenge against the Pope, and lets the Pope go, which is the stupidest plot development ever, because you've murdered everyone up to the Pope, and he's like, I've learned my lesson, and walks away, and I'm just sitting here like, you murdered everyone up to this point. I murdered 5 guards to get in here. Like, he lets the Pope
He
go.
learned that murder's not the way at the end.
Right.
You shouldn't assassinate people, guys.
It's
What
not
have I been
good.
doing this whole game?
Which I guess would make sense if they went to 3, because then it would have been like, well, the Pope moved on and we just kind of whatever. You know what I mean? But then it tacks on to Brotherhood and it opens up with, like, the family of the Pope is out for revenge because you let the Pope live. So immediately,
No way.
your base is under attack, and like every one of your friends in the Assassin Order, they're all like, you probably should have let him live at the end of Assassin's Creed 2. And the Brotherhood opens up, and they're like 1 month later, oh my God, we probably should have let him live. Like everyone's getting murdered. And then the whole game is you go to Rome and you convince people to join you by doing bullshit side quests for each organization in Rome. And then so I get there, and like none of it is plot relevant. The plot doesn't even come back until like the final chapter. So I'm like this whole game like, cool, we gotta go get the hookers to join us. Cool, we gotta go get the mercenaries to join us. Cool, we gotta go get the thieves to join us. I got everyone to join me. You know, like.
Now, let me ask you this. What is your plan to platinum the movie? How are you going to...
There's movies involved in this experience that I have to watch. The movie is in canon. I want you all to know that, so I will have to rewatch the official movie. But
I'm not watching it with you.
There's also another movie that no one knows exists, The Death of Ezio. He dies in a movie.
What?
Oh?
Yeah.
That's dumb.
So a Brotherhood has been an experience of tedium because I beat the game and it's like, all right, so you beat the Borgias, you got the apple. It's time to figure out how this all ties together with Altair. And because it was all tacked on, but that's the next chapter. But now to get the platinum, I have to go do all these missions and they're dumb. They're like, go make this assassination. Use the hidden blade. Done. Now what? Go kill this guy. Use the hidden blade. Okay, next. Go kill this guy. Don't let him see you. So use the hidden blade. Got it.
Sounds like a Ubisoft game.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I need a break from the assassinations. Let's go see what the courtesans got for me. And I'll go talk to some hooker, and she's like, I've got the ambassador all by himself. Use the hidden blade. God damn it!
Can't get away from it.
It's a little easier because the most brutal one back in the day apparently was for Assassin's Creed 2 was getting the flags because they're in-game. There was no in-game marker, so you had to have like a map and everything. But now thanks to the internet, that was Google Video Shake. I did not try to figure those out. Brotherhood has maps in-game, so I'm just running around poaching them all up now. Just like, okay, cool. But apparently, next I have Revelations. Then I have Embers, which is the movie of the end of Ezio's life, because Revelations wraps up his plot. Embers, spoilers, he shows how he ended his life, which is he got a wife, he got a kid, he's retired to a vineyard, and then there's theories as to what happens. A guy sits down, makes a snide remark, and then Ezio dies. In the wiki says by a heart attack, but it's also implied that guy may have stabbed him. So
Poisoned
Who's
him?
to say?
Yeah.
Possibly, it's just kind of left open. But like he dies of old age, basically. He's like in his 80s at that point. He doesn't die early. So
He either died of a heart attack, a knife to the heart, poison, or old age. We don't know, but he's
Figure it
dead
out.
now.
It's up to
Who
you.
cares?
But he lived long enough to have a wife and a kid and a vineyard. I want to retire have a vineyard. I don't.
Listen, I'm 1 out of 3 at this point. I don't want to die after I get that stuff. I want to live after that.
So
Just don't get a vineyard
so
anytime soon, Shank.
And to make this challenge more interesting, following the movie, I then have to play the 3 Assassin's Creed side-scrolling games they made. So
Oh, right.
Oh my god.
You should do this with God of War after and play the
Yes, you should.
the God of War what is it? There's like Nokia phone game that they released. You have to find the
will
original
say-
hardware too.
to continue with what I said I'm going to do, which is play everything I can get my hands on right now, I do have the official Assassin's Creed app game going.
Nice. Every single piece. You gotta.
I have Ezio on my team right now.
Are there Assassin's Creed tabletop games?
It's
So,
on its
You
way.
platinum
Oh,
Assassin's
okay.
Creed tabletop?
Yes, I will attempt to. So Assassin's Creed 2 years ago came out with a Kickstarter. Some company got the rights to make an Assassin's Creed board game, and I threw in the initial money to get the game sent over. And it's if you don't play tabletop games, there's a style of game, I call it like Gloomhaven, but basically it's 120 quests and it's a storyline, and the DM is the book. So it's like D&D, but
Yeah.
with a book that does everything
D&D in
for
a
you.
box.
Yeah, D&D in a
call
box. And the Kickstarter did so well, I said it to Houston, I'm getting like a 50-pound box sent in with like 5 expansion packs and like a
Excuse
huge
me?
tower. Yeah,
Yeah.
all for my baseline purchase of like $200 or something like that. Like,
Good lord.
Yeah.
so now, so to go with my Assassin's Creed thing, Houston and I now have like 300 quests to do in the board game. I have the app game going. I'm about to do the side scrollers. I will do everything that Assassin's Creed has published that I could actually play right now.
Well, all right. I'm looking forward to your weekly updates about that.
And I have a problem with Destiny, huh?
yeah. Yeah.
You got him there.
I have already planned the next one. At some point in the middle of this, I'm going to take a breather to do all 3 Tomb Raiders back to back. So we'll see how that storyline pans out.
Yeah, but aren't there like 8?
There's a
3.
lot more than 3.
No, the
He's
survival
only
series
doing the
is a trilogy.
survival series.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can't get the other ones right now.
I bet
Hashtag
you
not
I'll
a real
find
Tomb
them.
Raider fan.
Go buy a
If I could-
PlayStation.
If I could play the originals, I will. Okay.
You go to Games Ahoy, get an original PlayStation, and buy them.
Don't they have a PlayStation emulator?
I'll
Like-
check
Oh, I'm
PlayStation Now.
sure.
I may have just jinxed myself because PlayStation Now might have the original Tomb Raider series on it.
Get to
That would
work.
not surprise
And
me.
then, so then my weekly update's going to be like, so right now I'm playing the really terrible Assassin's Creed and Angel of Darkness Tomb Raider. Oh my God.
Gotta watch all the
Why
movies,
does she have
too.
a motorcycle and am I breaking into museums? There's my update. I had to explain the whole situation. My updates next week will probably be a lot shorter because it'll be like, I finished Brotherhood, started Revelations, and I have to do everything.
Fair.
I feel like me and Shank didn't talk enough during our updates.
Well,
We went on tangents on all of
Well, hey,
everybody's.
I didn't realize I was allowed to go on tangents. I could tell you all about the season of The Chosen. I could go on for a while.
Yeah,
but-
how's your triumphs going and your blue hunting? And
Oh, it's fantastic. I have to get gold by playing Gambit, and I have to do Battlegrounds by doing Battlegrounds, and I just it's a loop.
you have to tell me what strike that is because apparently I've killed no one in that strike. Looking at my triumphs,
It's a new
one of the
strike.
last it's the last things apparently I've never gotten into the strike rotation because it's like
It's
you've killed no
literally
one.
the Nightfall right now.
Guess what we're
Duh.
doing later. Guess what we're doing later.
Okay, I'm done. It's
All
a
right,
fun
so,
strike.
Let's move on to these news topics. I figured, honestly, every week, and you guys can let us know in the comments down below, or, if you're watching this on YouTube, because we'll probably get this uploaded as well, but the first episode will most likely just be on YouTube. You can let us know in the comments down below if you don't want us to talk about our personal experiences, you want more news discussions, or whatever. I do feel like every week, the bulk of the episode will be what we've done for the week and our own personal goals as gamers, but we'll see. News, Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, and Warzone mid-season update will reduce the file size of Warzone and Modern Warfare.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, this...
How
I
much,
honestly,
though?
Honestly, I have
Like 2
multiple
megabytes.
times. I have uninstalled Modern Warfare multiple times due to the file size. It's too big.
Only reason I don't want it on a system is because it takes up over half the hard drive.
Takes up over half my hard drive on PC.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it does.
You're not
That's
wrong.
like I
And
don't.
the last Call of Duty did the same thing.
Yeah, that's Modern Warfare. But I mean, I guess Warzone. I don't know. They're reducing. It's like they finally realized they're the meme when it comes to file size.
Yeah,
It's like they don't take anything out. They just leave it all in. Even
compress
all of the
anything.
broken stuff, everything.
I don't play Call of Duty personally, but I build computers for people. And like almost everybody who asks me to build them a computer is like, I want to play Warzone with it or like some form of Call of Duty, and I'm like, oh god, you're gonna have to budget for like an extra hard drive because the 500 gig NVMe drive that I put in basically everyone's system will be half full once you put Windows and just Call of Duty on it.
Yeah. I have
like,
an external hard drive to download most of my games onto. I had to buy one for the PlayStation as well, but that's a whole other debate in itself. But
You should not have an external hard drive with games on it, especially with PC. But that's a
I
different
put the ones
discussion.
that I don't care if I have to reinstall. That's basically it.
Sure. I think that's
Yeah.
the kind of the shame about console. That is getting better because you can buy external SSDs now.
Yeah.
And
That's
the new
fine.
consoles have expandable storage. But like especially Xbox, I don't understand that the new like GameCube memory card that you can buy for the
Yeah.
Xbox Series X. I love that thing. It's just such a cool design. You just stick it in there. It's cool.
I mean, right now my PS5 has an external hard drive attached to it. You can make it so it downloads all PS4 games to that drive.
Yeah.
And Houston will vouch. The first day I plugged it in, I literally went through like my entire library. Like,
You
I might
downloaded
play this again. I might play
everything.
this again. I might play this again. I might play this again.
And
I was like,
I'm looking through it, and it's like, you're not gonna play this. I know for a fact you're never gonna play this game you downloaded.
but everything
But
I
he
own.
might.
Yeah, but it might. That's what happened to me with Steam when I got the external hard drive because the one on the PC is 3 terabytes and the one on the PS4 is PS5 is 2 terabytes. I did the same thing with Steam. What if I want to play this again? What if I want to play this again? If Shake ever hits me up and randomly goes, Ben, we should play some Division. I gotta have it ready. Let's put it on the external.
I have my what's supposed to be my VR rig in my living room once I eventually get a Valve Index. It just is just filled with like party games and like random games that I will probably never play, but they're there in case.
But they're
I
there in
want
case
to.
somebody comes over and you want to
Right.
play it. Like,
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't want to be the guy, because I'm always this guy. You don't want to be the guy who's like, hey, let's go play Sea of Thieves. Wait, give me a second, guys. I
gotta
need
download
to
it.
download
Yeah.
this. I'll be ready in 4 hours. Can you guys
Yeah,
wait
there's been a
4
few
hours to
times-
play with me?
so there's like I'd say 3 games that are a pretty frequent rotation for like me and Shank, and that would probably be Destiny, Fortnite, and probably Final Fantasy. Although we haven't played that in quite a few months now. But then there's a bunch of games that it's just like I want to be a pirate. Let's go play a Sea of Thieves for the first time in 3 weeks. And Shank will always be like, "Oh, I deleted that yesterday."
Yeah, I mean, because I can fit like maybe like 2 extra games plus like all my single player games. But like, it's like, oh, okay, I have Siege and Sea of Thieves downloaded. What are we gonna play? Let's play Division. What? Okay, I'll download Division. Okay, I actually feel like playing Sea of Thieves now. I just deleted that. Like,
I do have bad ADD when it comes to a game that doesn't give me a goal, which is why I had to give myself a goal with those Assassin's Creeds. Because like Siege and Sea of Thieves, like I want to play them, and then an hour later, it's like, what's happening in Siege, Shank? And he's like, God damn it, Betty!
I just deleted it.
it's happened enough times now that it's a meme. So
It is a meme. Playing games with me is a meme-worthy situation. One of our friends who does videos of this on the other channel, we had to send him a hard drive so he could have more than 2 games downloaded at a time.
Storage is becoming like increasingly an issue. Like I mean, I just tore these hard drives out of my computer finally to upgrade to a bunch of NVMe storage, but like that stuff is expensive. Like hard drives are cheap. But the reason that they're so cheap now is because they are getting eclipsed. They're like SSDs are, especially with the new consoles, now that that's the new standard, people are not going to want to put up with hard drive load times anymore. So luckily like SSDs are cheap as well. Like, you know, $100 for a terabyte SSD, that can last you for a while. So I'm glad that prices are coming down, but it's still tough, especially for console players.
And this goes back to the Black Ops and the Warzone situation. I remember a few years ago, having a bigger hard drive was the big thing you wanted. Oh, 5 terabytes, 7 terabytes. Now with the SSDs, they're like 500 gigabytes, you're fine. No, I'm not. Because you bloated all the hard drive size, so now games like Call of Duty are like 500 gigabytes by themselves.
Right.
So now the SSD doesn't work. So I have to have an external for games like Call of Duty and an SSD for games that I need to load into quick. A lot of battle royales and things like that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's getting to that point, and that's the issue I think we're running into. SSDs are not nearly as big because they're so expensive when you get that 2 terabyte SSD. You know?
Yeah. This is the issue I have, is that for guys like you who you live and breathe this stuff, that's fine. Like, you go out, you get what you need. But people are talking about how like PC gaming is superior to console gaming. The issue is that people like me, like even after I've been doing this for 3 years, it's so difficult to stay up to date on exactly what I need to get, exactly where I need to download all my files for. And I'm trying. The people who don't want to try it, they just want to sit down and play a game. They don't want to have to learn what kind of drive to download or go buy at Best Buy or Amazon.
Or that Call of Duty's reducing, and what does that mean?
Right, exactly. Like, they just want to sit down and play Call of Duty. And I think that's the one thing that consoles are always going to have over PC is their ease of entry. And I wish
100%.
PC could figure out a way to get that, because I do agree, after playing on PC for a couple of years now, almost everything is superior on PC, except for the ease of entry.
Yeah, there's just a
learning
and
curve.
Avengers.
I feel like it's an entire podcast topic to itself, the PC versus console. But just a 2-second stance to agree with you, Shake. I've had that argument with a friend of mine who loves to argue master race. I have 240 frames per second on a 4K monitor, rocking it. You know what I mean? Like, he's always bragging about the stats. And I've always said, you're right. It's superior if you know what you're doing and you have the right equipment. But from a guy who was in the military for 10 years, 90% of my military friends barely knew how to turn on the PlayStation. So I'm not going to explain to them how to install the hard drive and the graphics card and all things like that. I mean, a guy that shows up at a lot of our other shows, Andy, my brother, he will bitch and moan anytime we tell him to turn on that computer. Like,
well, you got to think too. A computer that you just described, that's like $3,000 to $4,000 worth of equipment. A console is $500.
It is, and that's why
Plug it
I've
in
always
and
said consoles. Even though we're moving towards the realm of PCs, basically turning into mini PCs, I don't think consoles are ever going to lose to the. Everyone likes to argue like, "Oh, computers are going to beat them. Computers are going to beat them." They won't until computers get to a point where I can go download, play, and it does everything with no problems.
Right.
I want to step in real quick and argue for the PC value sentiment versus. I agree that like console versus PC ease of use, console has it out 100%. Cost wise, it is easy to make the claim that $500 for a PS5 you get better performance than a $500 PC, unless you include the secondhand market, which right now is a nightmare. But usually you can spend like $300 to $400 on a computer from like 2 generations ago using used components, and it will massively outperform a console.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. I agree with you 100% on that sentiment. But does everybody know how to build a PC? Because you know how to build a PC.
That's why pay me. I'll do it for you.
The difference is I come home and I end up destroying my motherboard because I'm trying to put stuff together.
I mean, there's the infamous Henry Cavill trying to build
I
this
go over
first.
to Target and I buy a PS5 and I plug it in the HDMI port in the back of my TV, and all of a sudden I'm playing.
For sure. Ease of use, like 100% consoles have that. I just wanted to
No,
clarify
I
that
agree.
yes, you can make a PC that's better than a console with a better value sentiment.
Right.
PC gaming in general is like it's a culture. It's a culture that's separate from consoles, and that's why there's always the versus war situation.
Right.
So.
Right.
But we'll have a whole podcast discussing PC versus console benefits, pros, cons, all that stuff. That's a great topic to have. Next thing we have here is the Anthem director has left BioWare. Yes, it's important. I don't think it matters since Anthem is done. Like,
I think that's why he left.
Yeah.
Totally.
Anthem's like, we tried. We're going to keep giving you some updates, but the game's
Did they
the
try?
game.
Did they try?
No,
I mean, I feel like-
Anthem
they said
2.0,
they
they
did.
mentioned. They mentioned Anthem
mentioned it.
2.0 and they never did any of it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you could say the pandemic, you could say EA, The fact of the matter is, BioWare left the Anthem fans dangling for a year, waiting for it to do something.
Well, what's worse is they said, okay, we're doing Anthem 2.0. Like, they didn't just, like, pull the plug and just say, listen, we're like, this just wasn't successful, we're moving on. They
or
kept
turn it
people's
into
hopes
like
up.
Outriders or they could have turned it into Outriders and Borderlands. Hey, what's there is there. Beyond that, we're leaving it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not adding to it.
Just expect a single player or like a multiplayer campaign, but don't expect endgame. That's fine.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So, I don't know.
I mean, I played Anthem at launch. I was not impressed at launch, so I'm in that camp. But I did have hope that it could have become something. Because as much as I love Destiny, I also hate Destiny because I feel like they use the player base as guinea pigs. And I felt like Anthem had that benefit of being like, hey, we're second, so we can look at what worked and didn't. You know? While Destiny just keeps trying over and over and over.
Ironically, I never played Anthem because I heard Anthem 2.0 was coming out.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think it also hurt them.
Right. I never downloaded the game. Because
you wouldn't even give it a shot.
it's
Like,
the
oh, they're going to change it.
Right. It's the same issue I have with Cyberpunk 2077 right now. It's like, well, they're fixing the game. It's like, okay, so I'll just wait to play the game until it's where it should have been at release.
Yeah. And that's actually our next topic here. Great segue. They've canceled their multiplayer, and the new patch, the game is still broken. I honestly, at this point, I'm starting to feel like it's a lost cause. I feel like I should have gotten my refund because I bought it on PS5 when it came out because it was like one of 3 games listed as a PS5 title. And then they pulled it and said you could get a refund. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They're going to fix it. But now
they're going to fix it.
Have you played the campaign?
I didn't touch it. I didn't even turn it on because they yanked it from the stores. And I'm like, exact same attitude you had of, well, I'll just wait now. Why start it now?
My difference is that because of CD Projekt Red's history with doing campaigns, eventually I imagine Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be worth the $60.
Yes.
It's not right now, so I'm not going to give them my money for it. But as soon as it is, I have no issue buying that, even if it's just for the single player campaign. I bought it for The Witcher, and I enjoyed the hell out of The Witcher 3. So, I mean, I don't think them trying to release a game and then overshooting. They set their goals too high and they weren't able to deliver. I don't think that has ruined my trust in CD Projekt Red to put out a game that will have a narrative that I enjoy and combat that I enjoy. But from what I hear right now, it's just too buggy to play. Like, I don't want to get in a car and then all of a sudden be in the sky.
On the flip side, I disagree with you because I feel like CD Projekt Red was placed too high on a pedestal and they shot themselves in the foot. They overhyped their game. The executives shipped it out way too early. They spent way too much time on it. Like, the fact that the game is still broken after the patch. I've watched videos on the things that were fixed and how they're not fixed. And the fact that they're canceling the multiplayer, that tells you there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than even they admitted at this point. Because they've had 4 months and it's still broken, and that's the big patch. It's going to be fixed, guys. And apparently, most of the game's campaign is terrible. They cut out everything that was making it interesting, like the branching paths. Apparently, there's no branching paths anymore. You just do a whole chain of events. They've cut out a lot of the voice acting and the stuff that was in the trailers. They cut out things like police chasing you across the city in a car chase. They cut out so much stuff to put it all in. We're looking at it almost a No Man's Sky situation, where the game is incredibly broken. And by the time that No Man's Sky got to a point where I would actually have recommended it to you, it was like 2-3 years down the road. But the difference is No Man's Sky came out and worked. When No Man's Sky came out, I jumped on it, I played it, and I didn't see any of the backlash, and I just enjoyed the game. And yeah, there was stuff that they promised that wasn't in there, but the game was still fun.
It wasn't. It's not a bad game.
Yeah, and now No Man's Sky is it's something else. Like, I just linked you guys the latest trailer where apparently we can now go on expeditions.
Okay,
it's down below.
Talking about segues, we'll talk about this. No Man's Sky Expeditions update is coming out.
Yeah, and I people like to compare CD Projekt Red to like Final Fantasy 1.0 and to No Man's Sky. And if they make this work, it's going to be like Final Fantasy 14 1.0, where the company is so embarrassed they are willing to risk the company for that relaunch. Because that's what happened with 14. They were so embarrassed by what they did
But I think they should.
Risked it.
I mean, I know it's easy for me to say as a consumer, but CD Projekt Red had a pedigree, and because they overpromised and underdelivered, they've stained their pedigree, which is going to affect their sales for future games. I feel like they should continue investing their money into Cyberpunk 2077, deliver what they originally said they were going to deliver. Because, let's be honest, the only reason that game got released was because investors wanted a game released and they were tired of spending money on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the issue is that, are you going to buy The Witcher 4 knowing that the last thing they put out was Cyberpunk 2077 if they don't fix the game?
Yeah, well, that is the problem right now. But the difference here is this: No Man's Sky is generally considered an online game. You getting it on disc is pointless. It's one of those games that has to be online. CD Projekt Red's game doesn't. So the difference here is No Man's Sky. If you were to download it right now to play No Man's Sky with me, Shank, you'll get the super version. That is amazing, and it still costs that same baseline price. CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk, that disc version still exists. And
That's
that
a good
disc
point.
version is going to forever be a broken mess. If you're in
Except-
PlayStation...
Except what version of the game would you not have to download the patches?
That's what I
very
was gonna
few
ask.
games do that at this point.
Like, is if I take a PS5 into like the Mojave, can I put Cyberpunk into it and play it? Like, will it let me do that? Or is
it will let you
okay.
play that version that's on the disc, and that's the problem, because I've had from my move days with no internet, and I can pop discs in and I can play games in their current state. I platinum hunt a lot of times. A lot of times when you're doing a platinum, if there's a cheese, they recommend not updating. So updates is a thing. We're all aware
Right.
of that in the universe, but you can buy baseline versions of games. If I want to get certain platinum trophies, I buy a baseline version, I slap it in the PlayStation, I turn off the internet. If I want to time jump in Animal Crossing, I do it horribly and don't know what I'm doing, but I take it off the internet. I attempted it once and totally butchered it and got 9,000 bells out of it. And was like, what did I do wrong?
That's even the point.
This took so much time. I could have cut down trees. Anyway.
Well, that's honestly...
But that's the problem. But I'm just saying, that's the problem between the two games. No Man's Sky was pitched early on as an online title. You do connect to their servers. You send information to their servers. And while the online was intended to be very minimal at the beginning, you were always online. So they could hook you up and patch your game easy.
Right.
With Cyberpunk, the assumption is most people will be online and most people will get these patches and most people will deal with that. But the problem is the possibility exists of not getting any of that.
Yeah. I didn't even think about
Yes.
that. Like, they shipped a broken product, and for parts of the world that just can't get updates, like, it will always be a broken product.
Yeah.
But at this point, that's a sunken cost. Like, you got to cut your losses at a certain point. As a company, they need to fix the product that is able to be fixed, and they need to fix their reputation.
I mean,
Yeah.
a counter argument for that is I guarantee you once it's fixed and their DLC is out, there will be a complete edition on a disc.
Yeah, for sure.
Possibly.
And I know there
hopefully.
Yeah.
they do make like micro changes to discs. Like the most recent the example that comes to mind, this isn't a recent example, but the like various versions of Ocarina of Time, like back when they like removed the Gregorian chants from like the original version, there's like 3 different cartridge versions of Ocarina that they shipped, but they're all still Ocarina. And that happens. Like, they ship new discs with updates installed on them, but so much work is going to have to go into this game that I feel like, especially, you know, in other parts of the world where they don't get, you know, the newest games, they aren't going to be able to get like the hot new like complete edition of Cyberpunk, which it's just, I mean, that's a larger problem with like, you know, how DRM and stuff works.
Yeah.
But
I just feel like that's the difference between Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy and No Man's Sky. Those are both online titles. It's easy to patch an online title, and then word of mouth gets it out there like, holy crap, this game's amazing now. Division was another great example. Division 2 came out and was like, hey, we beat it. It's boring. Hey, Shank, there's a tower. Let's go do the tower. You have to get the tower. Now it's fun, you know? But with Cyberpunk, that's not going to be our situation. It's not.
right.
So,
It's a difference in like expectation. Like when you
Yeah.
have a live service or an always online game, you kind of expect that it's going to change over time and you're going to need to be connected to the internet. But you buy something like The
Anymore,
Witcher,
though, it seems like
no.
every game is like that. Like,
Sure.
Well,
every game-
and I feel like in 5 years, everyone gave Xbox a lot of crap for jumping ahead of the gun and doing the always online. You have to be online to do it. Even I'm still against the idea, because as a guy who was been deployed for a total of 3 years overseas, I don't have internet over there to update my games and play my games. So I'm against the idea, but I'm also aware that this is the way the world is going. We are in a day and age where Huey and I are waiting for like a probably 2 megabyte patch for Scott Pilgrim so we can finally play it properly.
Yeah, maybe it's out. I haven't looked.
Is it not working for y'all? I've played that with a friend.
Reminder,
just
I
fine.
have that game, so...
We all do. The problem
It
with the
kept
game
crashing
is
on us.
it will crash if you collect the loot from a boss.
Oh, strange.
Yes.
That sucks.
It's a problem because you want the loot from the boss.
Right. Yeah. I will
Why I'm
say
playing this game.
I think a couple years ago that was definitely a concern that everything was moving towards live service or always online. But I think things are like starting to reach an equilibrium where, like, especially after the last generation of PS4 exclusives, where like basically every game that people praised from that console was a single player only narratively driven game. And all of those games pretty much launched like good, and you can still find copies of those and play them, like God of War, Spider-Man, and Horizon. They all obviously got updates over time, but especially with God of War and Horizon, like Huey mentioned, they got complete editions that you can go to a store and buy for like $20. And
I don't think God of
they're
War
just
because it never got DLC.
It got an updated version that I think just had it got DLC. It just didn't get like DLC. Like it got New Game
you're
Plus,
right. Yeah,
and it
got
got the hardest difficulty. So it's that's like one of those micro changes where I'm sure once they dropped the price to $20, they re-released it with the updates coded onto the disc.
Yeah.
So I think there is definitely a problem with the future, but also, you know, single player games are coming back, and I'm happy about that.
Right, but
Yeah.
then we had that news article that came out that it's possible that whenever PS4 stores go offline, that you're not going to be able to play any of your PS4 games. And the only way that works is if they guarantee now that they're going to have backwards compatibility, and knowing that I own a PS5, I'll have access to all of my PS4 games on PS5 servers.
Right.
That's the only way I see that working.
And that's just it. I think the issue. I agree with what you're saying, and I do think everyone's kind of freaking out. It's going to be terrible for game preservation if we PS4 is off the air, done. You know, as we move into a more online only service, that's going to become a continual problem. But as long as we come up with fixes like, okay, look, yes, your PS4 won't work properly, but the PS5 is backwards compatible, so you just can't use this console, but you're not losing all your games. Because I'm a proponent for video game preservation. We need an answer.
But here's the issue. PS3 stores are going offline. How long until PS3 servers go offline? Like,
servers for various games go offline all the time. That's a common thing.
No, but I'm
games
talking
that
about
are dead, just stop.
Right, and we're already on the PS5, and the PS5 is only compatible back to the PS4.
Yes and no. So a lot of people seem to forget because it hasn't been doing very well. PlayStation now has a whole bunch of PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games on it. Whole bunch.
They could shut that off. I think what that's what Shank is saying is like it's just a larger problem with DRM and like always online stuff.
I mean, you're not wrong. I'm agreeing, but it sounds like that could be a fix to this.
You're somewhat right. But now I need to pay a subscription fee for the games I already bought on PS3 to play them on PS
And
Now.
do my saves come over? No, I know they won't for obviously PS2 and PS1 because those are on a memory card in my parents' basement somewhere. I don't know. But
I mean, that's
for
part of
my
the
for my PS3 games, unless they make it backwards compatible all the way to PS3, any game that I have on there that I have a save for, like the only thing that's going to carry forward, I guess, is the trophy.
Yeah. Well, the whole situation is really crappy. We do need to find a way to preserve everything. We need a way for gaming. I mean, this is a modern form of art. It's only been around for about like 20, 30 years. We're trying to figure out how we're going to preserve things. Movies have been preserved through digital. They've been remastered, remade. Vinyl's on its way back. We need to find that answer for video games at this point. Because as far as look, I love PlayStation and I love Sony. Obviously, when I was picking the name of this channel, I put PlayStation right in the name. But I'm also aware that they're just a corporation. They don't care that I want to play Tomb Raider Run on PlayStation 1. They're like, well, we want everyone to buy PS5s, so deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's two answers to that question, right? Like there's the industry answer of, oh, we are going to remaster and repackage our games to sell them back to you, but they're not going to be the original experience, but we're going to make some money off of it. And then there's like the people's answer, which is piracy, because they haven't given us a better option.
Yes.
So it's like, you maintain and archive your own stuff, or you wait for it to not be playable and hope that they release some kind of remaster of it so that you can kind of get the original experience.
The irony, though, is that, let's take Resident Evil 2 for an example. They remastered that game. If they were to release the original Resident Evil 2 with that game, untouched, and also, I mean, you wouldn't have access to a game like that because saves won't go back that far. But, like, you're able to experience the nostalgia of playing the original. But also, you get the new game, so you get to play the remastered version. Then there's that value proposition of, okay, we created something new for you to go buy so we can make money. But also, here is your original nostalgia that you can go back and enjoy for no extra cost, because, I mean, really, what are they doing? They're porting the game over. I mean, I'm not a coder. I don't know how difficult it would be to port over a game, but I know Final Fantasy VII is just sitting on my PS4 right now, so it can't be horribly difficult.
Yeah.
If you just got 7...
So I think the issue we're running into right now is, and Dylan, since you and I are both PC gamers for a long time, you'll appreciate this probably. People in the world of consoles are now starting to realize the exact same problem that we PC gamers have known forever. One of the first games that I ever played on PC is a game called The Seventh Guest, and it's a point-and-click adventure involving ghosts. And I remember going to my neighbor's house and sitting and playing it, being super excited, 10-year-old Benny playing a horror video game. That game it came out in 1993 and is only available on DOS. Like, you're not playing that on any current system.
Yeah.
So in order to get that, would have to find a PC that will run DOS or get an emulator that will run DOS. I have to go through all of these ways to play Seventh Guest. Console people are now dealing with the same problem. The difference here is they're yanking support for PS4. You could still go buy a PS2. You could still go buy a PlayStation 1, technically.
That's what I was going to say.
PS3, it's getting a bit washy.
Right.
That's where we go back to the DRM, where if they turn off the servers, then all of a sudden you lose your game.
Yeah.
Even if
what I'm saying is this has been an ongoing problem for an actual long time, because 1993, you know what, you could probably give me some way to play Seventh Guest today, but it's not going to be easy and smooth. I'm not going to buy that disc and pop it in my... I don't even have a disc drive.
Yeah, that's another issue.
I mean, the same thing, though. Steam at any point could decide we are done.
Yeah.
Shut the server down, and every game you bought on Steam, it's gone. I mean, it is how it is. Unfortunately, we don't own the games we buy anymore.
We haven't for a long time.
No, it's just like it's a completely different like discussion when it comes to PC, because that's kind of the norm. Is like when that started to become a thing in console where people were buying games digitally, like you were saying, Benny, like they started to wake up to like the problems that like PC gamers have already gotten over. Like everything on my Steam library I don't own.
The biggest problem is
it's why
nobody reads the terms of services. It's in there. It's in there.
Yeah, 100%.
That says you don't own this game. At any point, we can get rid of it.
It's more than that, though. I mean, it's happening in movies now, too. When's the last time you went out and bought a Blu-ray? Mm-hmm. Or do you just buy something online?
Right, but a lot of those are getting moved over. They're already coming up with preservation methods for that by moving into digital services and like...
Right, but that's probably because there are lobbying interests in Hollywood and in Washington, D.C. who are advocating, hey, we need to preserve these movies.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
There is, because movies are considered a form of art. Movies have been around since like the early 1900s. And they're considered art. And we're at that precipice of gaming being considered art. We have games that people consider art. Regardless of your opinion of the game, Last of Us 2 is considered an artistic piece. God of War 2018 is considered an artistic piece. Great game, but they're becoming an artistic piece. Nobody looks at Fortnite like it's art, although I think it's getting to that point with the way how crazy it is. But you know what I'm saying.
So
and that is the problem.
subjective.
Yeah, it's all
But
subjective
art
in
is
what you consider
subjective.
art. I mean, NFTs. I look at half of them like, why would I buy a meme for $10,000? But
Don't,
you know,
'Cause now that's your
For
meme.
10,000
No, it's
bucks.
not.
Hey, that's a good price for an NFT.
I wanted
Bought
to
into
Peter
a pyramid
Dancing.
scheme.
But yeah, it's interesting because console gamers are now dealing with the problems that we've dealt with on PC for a while, and I think it's bringing to light a problem that needs to be brought to light: preservation of video games. You know, and you're right. No one reads the terms of service. No one has owned a game forever, which is why I laugh so much when I got certain friends that are like, I want to play the game with you, but I got to order it. Amazon will have it here in a week. Why? Why do you even care at this point? Like, you're just gonna throw the case in your closet. Well, I want to actually own the game. You don't.
At any point, they could just
I
shut
have
it down.
Like right over there, I have a stack of all my Xbox 360 and PS3 games. But
Yeah,
But
again,
since
like,
then,
that's
we've removed.
Yeah.
Even then, I think they can
right.
boot you from
It's
all of them.
that generation, the 360, PS3, and like Wii. Not really, but they're always like Nintendo's always strange. But like that generation is like the point where it's like certain games. Demon Souls always comes to mind to me with PS3 because that was a game that you like could only buy on the PlayStation Store, and then they yanked it from the American store, so you could only buy it if you bought a Japanese PS3 that wasn't region locked. And now we have the remake, but the only way, now that they're shutting the PS3 stores down, that you can play the original Demon Souls is to pirate it and emulate it on PC.
So, all right, well, we're not going to solve video game preservation in this problem in a talk here.
That
We
is a
got
huge
this.
issue. Yeah, it's a huge issue with DRM and
Yeah.
just a whole like the industry's unwillingness to just release like purely original versions of things. They just have to change stuff. Just like release things.
People
Yeah.
will buy the original again.
Yeah. Like the Wii just had a GameCube inside of it, and they refused to just release original GameCube games on it. It could play them, but the consoles are powerful enough where you could absolutely just have a way to read a PS1 disc and download a copy of it, and then
I mean, just put the
still have
stupid
that
emulator on your software. I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just there's a way.
like
you can do it.
I know you kept bringing up your save states, Shank, but I'll forfeit save states if I can just get the
yeah.
games to come back. Like, I'll
Right.
replay the game if I really like it. Whatever, I'll be a little sad that I to this day I don't know where my shiny Charizard is at. He's in one of my
Right.
games in that closet, but
Somewhere.
I'll find
Battery's
him.
probably dead.
No, I think I moved him to the Pokebox. But anyway,
it's not even about the save state. It's about the fact that I bought Kingdom Hearts already for PS2, and then I bought it for PS3, and
Well,
now I'm
I-
gonna have to buy it for PS5.
well, yeah, but that I mean, you use Kingdom Hearts. That's like the worst example ever. Like, welcome to Kingdom Hearts 2. Welcome to Kingdom Hearts 2.1. Welcome to
No,
Kingdom
I'm
Hearts
not, talking
2.3.
about, I'm not talking about the new versions of the game. I'm saying I bought Kingdom Hearts. Whether or not I got my level 99 Sora, Goofy, and Donald, I should still be able to boot it up on my PS5. I bought it from Sony.
Yeah. No,
Why do I have to
agree.
buy it from Sony again?
Because you didn't buy it from Sony, and that's where the confusion comes in. You bought a license to play that game on a Sony licensed system. That's the problem.
And I'm arguing that that is a semantics argument. That to me and
No,
you,
it's-
yes,
it's
to me
not.
and you, it makes sense, right? But when we're just talking about the general public, they're not going to enjoy having to rebuy the same game.
No,
every 5
and
years.
I agree, but that's a problem with people not reading the terms of service. I mean, I have PlayStation 1 games. I have a PlayStation 1. I have a PlayStation 2. They load no problem. But the problem is, as we go further along, you're not buying games, you're buying licenses to play a game. And that's where it comes down to.
Yeah,
And
no, I
we're
agree.
not saying it's a good thing.
Yeah,
No,
just how
I
it
agree
is.
with you. I agree with
Yeah.
you. I'm just
I mean, it's no different than you going to a parking garage and you buy a pass to be at that parking garage, and at the end of your pass, you're out. Like,
except the
you
terms
later.
of service for that parking pass isn't 40 pages of BS that nobody's
it's
ever going
not.
to read.
I honestly, I really think like there should be like, here's the bullet points if you
They
want to
really
read them
should.
in full. I
There
booted
really
up some game the other
should
day.
be
I forget what
bullet
game.
points.
I think it was It Takes Two. You have to go through like 40 pages of
Yeah.
terms of service before this game starts.
Yep, I definitely did that.
And you just
Yeah,
gonna have to remind them, though.
whatever.
every line in 3 seconds.
This is also another huge thing, but like I've had that thought where like maybe I should read the terms of service because this is kind of like a sketchy thing. But like once you decide that you are going to play a game or you're going to sign up for something, even if there are bullet points, you're not going to be like, I better hire a lawyer to like contact this company and see if they can change their terms of service. No, you're just going to accept them. Like,
Also, for
that's
the
just
most
reality of it.
for the most part, it's after you load the game up that you can read the terms of service. And guess
Exactly.
what PlayStation's policy is? After
No
you load the
refunds.
game up, you can't get a refund.
Yeah. No, I agree. Hold on, Shank. I really want to play Siege tonight, but I'm only on page 20 out of 30, and I really want to read these thoroughly before we get a match going.
I need to consult my lawyer, so I'll get back to you in the
Exactly.
next 2 to 3 days. I know resets in 24 hours, but listen.
Yeah,
I gotta talk to the lawyer.
I gotta file a class action lawsuit before I can continue to play Avengers. I don't agree with this one line in their terms of service.
All right, let's move through these next couple of ones real quick. I'll do one more. Witcher 3 is finally coming to the PS5 the second half of 2021. I think there's 2 reasons behind that one. One, Witcher 3 is practically turned into Skyrim with the amount of remakes it's getting. I'm waiting for
Just
the
gonna
joke.
say
of it
that.
being- It's just Witcher 3 is on everything, guys. Secondly, I feel like CD Projekt Red's like we need stocks like
Oh, yeah.
now.
News.
Damage control for sure.
Good
But
news.
if you own it on PS4, they're just giving it to you, so doesn't
Good.
really help. The
They
stock.
just need good favor. That's what it boils down to. They
Yeah.
just
I mean
need good-
that is I will say after all of the conversations that we've had about DRM and people and companies forcing you to pay for the same game twice, this generational change between PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, they've handled it pretty well. I think most
a lot of companies, not all.
A lot of
companies.
a lot of games are doing remaster remakes and the situation upgrade. Most of them are giving free. Now here's the problem with that: when a game doesn't decide to give it to you free, everyone is freaking the hell out.
Which they should.
they're
See,
I-
don't fr-
no, no, no,
see,
no,
I disagree.
can't
Don't freak out. Don't freak out. Just don't buy the game.
Well, no, there was a game. I forget what game it was, but they were like the PS5 version will have all of this extra stuff, and that's why it's going to cost more.
Spider-Man.
That was it. Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah,
That's
and
like
everyone freaked
20
out. Like,
bucks,
why can't
though.
I get it for free? It's like because it's packaged as
Because
a
they
package.
added new stuff.
Yeah.
Just don't buy it.
Yeah.
That's how you send the message of this is not what I'm willing to accept. Just don't buy the things you don't agree with.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
Final
it's
Fantasy
definitely a
VII is
sliding
doing that
scale
right
there.
now. Final Fantasy VII is PS. They gave it away. They gave away the PS4 copy if you're a PlayStation Plus member, but they straight up said the PS5 version, Interguard, will have an entire DLC wrapped into it, and you have to buy it. That's it. If you buy the PS4 version,
There
you
you
get
go.
the upgrade for
Yeah.
free.
But you still have to buy Interguard.
Yeah. You have to buy Interguard as a DLC.
That's
thing.
fine though. You're buying
Yeah.
new content.
DLC. Yeah,
But like I think companies need to just make that very clear.
What
If the
would be
reason they're
annoying-
making you rebuy it is because there's a reason, DLC, 6 more hours of gameplay, costumes, all that stuff.
Right.
Okay, I'm on board. But if you're making me rebuy for PS5 because you're a dick, that's a different story.
Square's doing that well, though. They're like, hey, here is the PS4 game. You can have it. Take it.
Yeah.
But we're not going to give you the PS5 now for an upgrade unless you buy it.
Yep, and that also ties into our other topic. We have your Genshin Impact coming to PS5. I don't play Genshin Impact. I tried so hard. I couldn't get into that.
I didn't even
But
try, but
they're doing
I
their
know
upgrade,
it's
but that's
very
a free game.
popular.
Yeah, you would
I
like
feel
it.
like the oddball here.
No,
Yeah.
enjoy the games you enjoy. Don't.
Oh, no.
apologize
I
for it.
enjoy it. I will be. I mean, I already downloaded the PS4 version onto my PS5 to try and start over and see how free to play I can be. It's hard for me, but I haven't spent money yet.
good.
Let me go buy more Assassins than my Assassin's Creed.
I
app
will
is.
be upgrading to the PS5 version of it as long as my save or my account transfers over.
Right.
Let me know how that because I haven't played Genshin Impact, but I'm very interested in DualSense integration because the DualSense is now my new favorite controller.
I love that controller. I
yeah,
do think
and-
it's a little bulky, but I do love it. I love the features.
Oh,
it
I
does.
love the weight of it. But the interesting thing here, I got mine right here that I use to play PC games with it. But the integration of this thing on the PC has been a nightmare so far. So
Yep, I tried it and I
Um,
gave up. I went to the Xbox One S version.
It's been rocky. Like some companies, like I talked about this in my Century Age of whatever Fire or whatever first impressions that I did. But like some places are integrating it seamlessly, where you get PlayStation prompts, you get Rumble and everything. Then there's like games like Avengers, who they show you Xbox prompts no matter what, unless you use a DualShock 4 that doesn't go through Steam. So I'd be interested to see if the improvements that they make to the DualSense on Genshin Impact for PS5 translate over to the PC version as well.
Are you playing Genshin Impact? You don't strike me as an app game.
No,
Okay.
but I'm curious about it just because of the technology.
The only reason I think it might not, Dylan, is because the PlayStation account is completely separate from all other entities of Genshin Impact.
Oh, so it's a different version?
It's
entirely?
a whole different version of the game entirely.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's like Minecraft Bedrock versus Java.
Yeah, but
entirely different.
you get the updates with everybody else, but your account is stuck to PlayStation. I couldn't bring over my PC account to my PlayStation account. I had to start over.
Huh. Well, I would be. Yeah, I'm interested to see. I've been considering trying out Genshin, so maybe I'll try it just to see if.
If you want the controls, just play it on your PS5.
I will consider it. Maybe I'll play it on my iPhone. I can do that, right?
I do not recommend that, but you can.
It's horrible on the phone.
It's terrible on.
Moving on to our last topic here. We got one gaming topic. Monster Hunter Rise has shipped 4 million units. Expected that. I'm actually going to be shocked if they don't either announce World 2 or a Rise PS5 port within a year.
I expect Rise will stay to the Switch.
That's going to be like the Switches edition?
Yep. And World will come out and not be on the Switch. Switch is going to have its own Monster Hunters, and everything else is going to have their Monster Hunters. That's what I expect.
I think it would be smart if World 2 also came out on the Switch. Like, World is their global, like, it's available everywhere you want to play it. But then if you're really into Monster Hunter, then you have to go with Nintendo, because Nintendo is going to have all of the Monster Hunter games.
Yeah.
But all right, and then lastly, we got a little bit of movie news. The Resident Evil movie has been delayed. This is the remake, right? They're going to start it all over now that she's
not a
moved over to
remake,
do Monster
basically a
Hunter.
reboot.
Yeah. Well, in the defense of the Resident Evil movies, they started out good, but they went crazy.
1 and 2 were okay, and everything after that was just popcorn flicks.
It stopped being about the zombies. It was all about Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah. From what I understand,
and her being a
it's gonna
superhero.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. From what I understand, it's going to be more like based on the actual games instead of just like,
Hey,
just, like,
Umbrella.
vaguely
Oh,
ripped
hey, I know what
off,
that means.
Yeah. And then The Witcher show has wrapped up its filming and cast reveal. I'm glad with that. I loved the first season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good show for sure.
It is funny the loophole they found to get the rights to that, though. They're like, we just won't do the video game.
Yeah.
We'll make our own
cool.
story.
Because I hadn't played any of the games, but I knew a little bit about the books. So watching that, I was like, oh, cool. This is like, it's an interesting introduction to the lore of like, if I ever want to play the games, I won't be retreading ground.
Right. And with a show like that, I don't want to see a 1-for-1 remake of the games. I want to see inspiration from. Does that make sense?
The show is made for fans of the game.
Right. It's the same thing with the MCU. MCU is not a 1-for-1 retelling of your favorite stories. It's inspiration from the stories. You don't expect the 1-for-1.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for me with The Witcher. Like, it's just it takes that inspiration and tells its own story.
And I really like that that approach that I feel like more like adaptations are taking these days, where if there is a source material and there's something that has been adapted from the source material, it's not like an echo chamber where
It's
like
basically an Easter egg to people who have done the source material.
Yeah. So like the show is based on the source material, not the game, which was based on the source material. Which is, I think that's cool. That's how it should be.
So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's first episode of PSG. This is probably about the average length we'll get to. Every week you'll get my latest update on what I'm doing at the Assassin's Creed challenges. We'll hear about Shake's insanely weird triumphs he decided to try and focus on a Destiny. We'll hear about every weird thing I let Houston buy with the business credit card on his app games. And we'll hear the latest Overwatch
Final
updates.
Fantasy X characters this week.
Nice.
And we'll hear we'll hear all the latest updates from Dylan as to what's going on over there. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate you all for watching. If you stuck around to the ending, let us know in the comments down below by stating that who's got that? Grogu was the best host.
Yeah.
It's true. You don't even need to have been here at the end to know that. So
It's true. It's true.
And we'll see you
about
next week with more
the box.
lore, news, games, and discussion right here at PSG. Also, let me know your funniest acronyms down below. Please come up with the weirdest ones you can.
I feel like Dylan might cut that out after you say PSG.
We'll see.